Taeho Kim felt his hands shake as he walked into the Galactic Council chamber. After 300 years, humanity still sat at the smallest table in the back corner. The other species treated them like children who needed permission to speak. Chamber was huge and made of white stone that seemed to glow from within. 47 different alien species filled the seats around him. Some looked like giant insects. Others were made of crystal or metal. A few looked almost human, but with strange colors or extra arms. Taeho wore his best diplomatic uniform, but he knew it looked cheap compared to the robes and armor of the other ambassadors. Earth had given him one job today. Listen to what the council decided about human colonies and try not to make things worse. He did not expect what happened next. The Vrex Imperium's speaker stood up first. The creature looked like a walking diamond with too many angles. When it spoke, its voice sounded like breaking glass. The council has made a decision about the human problem, it announced. Human colonies expand too fast. They do not follow proper procedures. The Outer Rim territories will be given to more suitable species. Taeho's blood turned cold. The Outer Rim held 12 human worlds. 2 million people lived there. New Busan was one of those worlds. So was New Seoul and New Incheon. They were talking about giving away human homes like they were trading cards. What about the people living there? Taeho asked, standing up. The diamond creature's head turned toward him with a grinding sound. Humans reproduce too quickly. You will be relocated to supervised colonies where your growth can be controlled. In the gallery above, Admiral Nari, Park gripped the rail so hard her knuckles went white. She had been born on New Busan. Her parents still lived there. Her younger brother ran a farming settlement on the northern continent. The Threen Collective's representative spoke next. It looked like a giant ant with 6 arms and compound eyes. When it talked, hundreds of voices spoke at once, all saying the same words. Humans lack proper social structure, the voices said together. Individual thinking causes chaos. The hive mind approach is superior. Humans will be integrated into existing hierarchies for their own benefit. Taeho felt sick. They were talking about breaking up human families, about scattering his people across the galaxy like seeds, about ending human independence forever. You cannot do this, he said, his voice getting louder. We are members of this council. We have rights. The chamber filled with sounds that might have been laughter from a dozen different species. The Altarian Empire's representative, a being made of living metal, spoke with a voice like grinding gears. Rights are earned through strength and wisdom, it said. Humans have shown neither. You have been probationary members for 3 centuries. This decision finalizes your status as a supervised species. That was when every screen in the chamber suddenly came alive. Captain Jiwoo Lee's face appeared on the displays. He was a tough-looking man with scars on his cheek and steel in his eyes. Behind him, Taeho could see the bridge of a starship. The walls looked different from normal human ships. More advanced, more dangerous. This is Captain Lee of the UES Defiance, the man said. His voice was calm but carried the weight of absolute certainty. I am broadcasting to all human vessels and colonies throughout known space. The chamber erupted into confused voices. The Vrex speaker made angry, grinding sounds. The Threen Collective's voices overlapped in chaos. By unanimous vote of the Human Colonial Congress, Captain Lee continued, humanity formally withdraws from the Galactic Council. We reject your authority over our people, our worlds, and our future. Taeho stared at the screen in shock. He had not known about any vote, but as he thought about it, he realized Earth's government must have been planning this moment for a long time. We came to you seeking partnership, Captain Lee said. We offered friendship and cooperation. You gave us chains and called them gifts, no more. The captain's image flickered as interference tried to cut the signal. But somehow the transmission kept going, growing stronger instead of weaker. Effective immediately, humanity claims full sovereignty over all human worlds and the space between them. Any attempt to interfere with human citizens or territory will be considered an act of war. Admiral Nari Park smiled for the first time in months. In the gallery around her, other human observers began to stand up. They looked proud instead of afraid. Down on the chamber floor, Tejo reached into his jacket and pulled out the ceremonial pendant that marked him as Earth's representative. It was made of silver and shaped like Earth's continents. His grandfather had worn it when humanity first joined the Council. "I spent my whole life believing we could find our place here," Tejo said, loud enough for every translator to pick up his words. "I was wrong. Our place is not among those who see strength as permission to abuse the weak." He held the pendant high, then let it fall. It hit the marble floor with a clear ringing sound that seemed to echo through the whole chamber. The silver cracked into several pieces. "Humans choose freedom over security," Tejo announced. "We choose uncertainty over slavery. We choose to stand alone rather than kneel together." Security forces began moving toward him. They looked like robots but moved too smoothly to be mechanical. Tejo did not run. He had one more thing to do. So Young Han stepped out of the crowd near the back of the chamber. She was a small woman who most people ignored. That was perfect for her job as head of human intelligence. She activated a device hidden in her sleeve. "This is So Young Han broadcasting on all frequencies," she said, as her device overrode every communication system in the building. "Operation Homecoming is now active. All human citizens are ordered to return to human space immediately. Pack only what you need. Leave everything else." She paused, looking directly at the alien security forces approaching Tejo. "The galaxy just became a very dangerous place for humans," she continued. "But it is about to become much more dangerous for anyone who threatens us." The security forces stopped moving. Something in her voice made even artificial beings hesitate. Captain Lee's image spoke one last time from the screens around the chamber. "To our former council members," he said, "you taught us that the strong take what they want from the weak. Thank you for the lesson. We learned it very well." The screens went dark. Tejo looked around the chamber one last time. 47 species stared back at him with expressions ranging from confusion to anger to something that might have been fear. "Goodbye," he said simply, then walked toward the exit. Behind him, the greatest exodus in galactic history began. 6 months had passed since humans walked out of the Galactic Council. The galaxy was learning why older species feared the young ones. Captain Minho Choi watched his target through the darkness of space. The Zephyrian Trade Federation had built a monitoring station near Kepler 442b. They called it a research facility. Minho knew better. It was a spy base, watching Earth from only 50 light-years away. His 3 ships hung in the shadow of the planet like sleeping sharks. The aliens had no idea they were there. Human stealth technology had improved a lot in the past few months. "Captain," his weapons officer, Sung-Min Park, whispered, "their shields are at full power. Energy readings show it would take our old weapons hours to break through." Minho smiled. "Good thing we do not have old weapons anymore." He opened a channel to his other ships. "This is Minho. Remember what they said about us 6 months ago? Primitive mammals playing with stolen technology? Let us show them how wrong they were." The Zephyrian station looked like a giant metal flower floating in space. Its petals were sensor arrays that could detect ships from hundreds of light-years away. At least, they could detect normal ships. "Unknown vessels," came a panicked voice from the station. "You are in neutral space protected by Council authority. Identify yourselves immediately." "This is Captain Minho Choi of the Human Defense Force," Minho replied calmly. "You have been spying on human territory for 6 months. That ends now. We are a peaceful research station. You cannot attack us. This violates every galactic treaty." Minho thought about New Busan, where his sister had lived before the evacuation. He thought about the 2 million humans who had been forced to abandon their homes because the council decided they did not deserve them. "Treaties work both ways," he said. "You broke them first." His ships opened fire. The station's shields were designed to stop anything the council had seen humans use before. They were not designed for antimatter weapons guided by artificial intelligence. The protective barrier collapsed in 17 seconds. "Please!" the Zephyrian commander begged. "We surrender! We will leave immediately!" "You should have left 6 months ago," Minho said as his weapons tore the station apart. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Human colonists who had seemed defenseless were revealing hidden weapons. Trading ships that looked harmless opened up to show missile launchers. Peaceful research stations turned out to be military bases. On Titan, one of Saturn's moons, director Ye-Jin Ko stood in a laboratory that officially did not exist. For decades, human scientists had been working in secret beneath the moon's surface. The Galactic Council thought humans were slow learners who could barely copy alien technology. They were wrong. "Show me the quantum drive test results," Ye-Jin said to her assistant, Hyun-Woo Park. "All tests successful, Director," Hyun-Woo reported with excitement in his voice. "We can now travel faster than any ship in Council space. The aliens will, not be able to catch us or run away from us." Ye-Jin nodded and walked to another section of the lab. Here, Dr. Soo-Jin Lee was working on something even more impressive. She was building artificial minds that could think as fast as computers, but understand emotions like humans. "How are our new friends doing?" Ye-Jin asked. Dr. Soo-Jin looked up from her work with tired but happy eyes. "Better than we hoped. The AI systems are fully integrated with our ship computers. They can control every weapon, every shield, every engine at the same time. And they want to protect humans. Want to? They choose to. We did not program them to help us. We gave them the freedom to decide for themselves. They chose to be our allies." Ye-Jin felt a chill of excitement. The Council had always seen humans as individually weak but numerous. They never imagined humans would create entirely new forms of life to fight beside them. Meanwhile, on the Council's most important worlds, panic was starting to spread. The Altarian Empire called an emergency meeting. Prime Minister Vextar, a being made of living metal that had ruled for thousands of years, stood before his military commanders. "How many human warships have our sensors detected?" he demanded. Admiral Krishan of the Void Hunters, reptilian creatures known for their hunting skills, hissed in frustration. "That is the problem, my lord. We cannot detect them. Our instruments." "Show empty space until the humans are already shooting at us." "How is that possible? Humans are primitives." "Apparently not, sir. Our intelligence was wrong. Very wrong." Vextar's metal body made grinding sounds as he processed this information. For 3 centuries, the Council had treated humans like amusing pets. Smart enough to be useful, but too simple to be dangerous. What about their fleet strength? How many ships do they actually have? Krishan's scales changed color, a sign of deep worry among his people. "We do not know, sir. Every time we think we have counted them all, more appear. They seem to have been building in secret for decades." On the bridge of the UES Retribution, Fleet Admiral Seok Jin Yoon studied reports from across human space. His ship was enormous, larger than anything the Council had ever built. But it was not just big. It was smarter, faster, and more heavily armed than anything the galaxy had seen. "Admiral," his communications officer called out, "we are receiving surrender requests from 17 different systems. They want to negotiate." "After 6 months of trying to hunt down our people?" Seok Jin's voice was cold as space itself. "After voting to scatter human families across the galaxy like seeds?" He looked at the tactical display showing Council fleets, desperately trying to find human forces that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. "Send a message to every Council member," he ordered. "Tell them Admiral Seok Jin Yoon offers them one chance. complete withdrawal from all disputed territories, recognition of human sovereignty, and formal apologies to every human family they tried to destroy. And if they refuse, sir? Seok-jin looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, his daughter was serving on a human destroyer. His son commanded a strike force near the Rigel system. The council had tried to break up human families. Instead, they had created a military force united by shared anger and love for each other. If they refuse, he said quietly, then we show them what happens when you threaten a human's family. His communications officer sent the message to every major alien government. The response time was 48 hours. Across the galaxy, ancient civilizations that had ruled for millions of years suddenly realized they had made a terrible mistake. Humans were not primitive mammals playing with stolen technology. They were apex predators who had been pretending to be prey. The 48 hours began counting down. The Council's answer came not in words, but in the form of the largest war fleet ever assembled. 2,000 ships from 30 different alien species moved toward Earth like a storm made of metal and hatred. President Mi-young Kim stood in the war room deep beneath Geneva, watching the tactical displays with calm eyes. She had been preparing for this moment since she was elected 5 years ago. Every human leader since the Council's formation had known this day would come. They are bringing everything, reported General Dong-hyun Park, pointing at the holographic display. Every capital ship, every elite military unit. Warlord Gaz-Thul is leading them personally. Mi-young nodded. Gaz-Thul was a legend among the draconic hegemony. The massive reptilian creature had conquered star systems for over 1,000 years. He had never lost a battle. Good, Mi-young said quietly. It saves us the trouble of hunting them down one by one. General Park looked surprised. Ma'am, they outnumber our visible fleet 10 to 1, Mi-young smiled. Visible is the important word there. In space near Jupiter, Captain Yoo-jin Song waited with her heavy cruiser Indomitable. Around her, 40 other human ships hung in the darkness. They looked very small compared to the massive alien fleet approaching Earth. Captain, her weapons officer whispered. Long-range sensors show the enemy fleet. It is huge. Are we really going to fight all of them? Yoo-jin had been born on New Seoul, one of the worlds the Council tried to give away. Her parents had died defending their farm from alien troops who came to relocate them. We are not going to fight them, she said. We are going to destroy them. The alien fleet approached Earth expecting to find desperate humans hiding behind whatever defenses they could build. Instead, they found what appeared to be empty space. No orbital weapons platforms, no minefields, no last stands. Warlord Gaz-Thul stood on the bridge of his flagship, a ship the size of a small moon. His scales were dark red with age, and his claws had torn through the hulls of 1,000 enemy ships. Where are they? He growled to his officers. Scans show only a few dozen human vessels. Where is their main fleet? Perhaps they fled, my lord, suggested his tactical officer, a smaller dragon with silver scales. Humans do not flee from their homeworld, Gaz-Thul said. Something felt wrong. In 1,000 years of war, he had learned to trust his instincts. This feels like a trap. He was right. All ships, came Admiral Seok Jin-yoon's voice across every human communication channel. Remember what they called us, primitive mammals playing at civilization. Let us show them what happens when mammals get angry. The space around Earth suddenly exploded with light and death. Hundreds of human ships appeared from nowhere, their stealth systems shutting down as they opened fire. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter came alive as hidden bases revealed themselves. Weapons that turned gravity itself into a weapon reached out across millions of kilometers. But the real surprise came from Earth's moon. Chief Engineer Haiwan Jang had spent 10 years working on the project. To everyone else, Luna looked like a normal moon. Mining operations, research stations, nothing special. They were all wrong. "This is Admiral In-Soo Kim of the Luna Defense Grid," came a voice that reached every ship in the system. "You came to our home. You threatened our children. Now learn why humans are the apex predators of our world." The moon began to come apart. What the aliens had thought was a natural satellite was actually the largest weapon ever built by any species. As the outer shell fell away, it revealed a mass driver that could throw projectiles at nearly the speed of light. The beam that shot out from Luna did not just destroy ships, it erased them from existence, turning solid matter back into pure energy. In 30 seconds, half the Council's armada simply disappeared. Warlord Gazathul felt something he had never experienced in 1,000 years of conquest: terror. His flagship was shaking apart around him as human fighters swarmed through his formations like angry insects. "Retreat!" he ordered, but his communications were being jammed by some kind of human technology. Captain Jae-min Oh of the destroyer. Vengeance had been waiting for this moment. His ship was small compared to the alien dreadnoughts, but it carried humanity's newest weapon, devices that could turn the enemy's own technology against them. "Target the flagship," he ordered. "Let us see how their shields work when we control them." The weapon reached out across space, invisible and unstoppable. Suddenly, Gazathul's own ship began attacking itself. Weapons turned inward, shields collapsed, life support systems shut down. "Impossible," Gazathul roared as his ship died around him. "We have ruled the galaxy for millions of years. You are nothing but primitives." His last transmission was intercepted by human intelligence officers. "By the void," the ancient warlord whispered as his ship exploded, "they were never primitives. They were pretending." Across the battlefield, the same scene played out again and again. Alien ships that had conquered star systems found themselves helpless against human technology they could not understand or defend against. The Threen collectives. Hive mind ships tried to coordinate their attacks, but human AI systems were faster and smarter. The artificial minds Dr. Soo-Jin Lee had created could think at the speed of light and make decisions in microseconds. The Vrex Imperium's crystal ships, supposedly indestructible, shattered like glass when human weapons found the exact frequency that made their molecular structure unstable. Admiral Yu-Jin Song watched from her command ship as the alien fleet fell apart. What had seemed like an impossible battle was turning into a massacre. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we are receiving surrender signals from over 300 enemy ships. Tell them to power down all weapons and prepare to be boarded," Yu-Jin replied. "Any ship that tries to run will be destroyed." On Earth, President Mi-young Kim watched the tactical display as red dots representing enemy ships turned blue one by one. Surrender, destruction, capture. "How many of ours did we lose?" she asked. General Park checked his reports. 17 ships damaged, 3 destroyed. Total casualties, less than 200. Mi-young closed her eyes for a moment. 200 human lives lost. But 2 million had been saved when the evacuation brought everyone home from the outer rim. "Colonies, send a message to every surviving council member," she ordered. "Tell them the age of ancient empires ruling through fear is over. Any species that wants peace will find us willing to talk. Any species that wants war has seen what happens next." The Battle of Seoul was over. In 6 hours, the most powerful military force in galactic history had been completely destroyed by a species the Council had dismissed as primitive mammals. The galaxy would never be the same. 3 years after the Battle of Seoul, the galaxy had learned to fear the sound of human ships jumping out of hyperspace. What used to be the proud Galactic Council was now a collection of scared civilizations sending desperate messages to Earth, begging for peace. Ambassador Soo-Jin Park read the latest surrender offer while drinking coffee in her office aboard Haven Station. The irony made her smile. Haven Station was built inside the hull of a captured Council dreadnought. The same type of ship that used to intimidate human diplomats now served as humanity's mobile embassy. The Altarian Empire is offering us full voting rights in a new council, she reported to Secretary of State Min-Soo Lee through their quantum communicator. Min-Soo laughed, but there was no humor in it. Voting rights? After 300 years of treating us like children who needed permission to speak, they want to give us what we originally asked for? Too little, too late, Soo-Jin agreed. Besides, we have something better now. She looked out the window at the fleet of ships surrounding Haven Station. Human vessels worked alongside ships from dozens of other species, but these were not the old Council races. These were the species the Council had crushed, scattered, or enslaved over millions of years. Colonial Administrator Yoon-ho Kim was having the best day of his career. He stood in the control room of New Hope Station, watching as another group of refugees arrived from former Council space. "How many today?" asked his assistant, Ye-Eun Park. 3,000 Zephyrians from the old slave colonies, Yoon-ho replied. They heard about our integration policies and requested asylum. The transformation had been remarkable. When humans started taking control of former Council worlds, everyone expected them to become the new masters. Instead, something unexpected happened. Dr. Kyung-Soo Han, head of the Integration Council, had established simple rules. Every being was judged by their actions, not their species. Every world that joined human protection kept their local governments. Every culture was respected and preserved. "Sir," Ye-Eun reported, "the former Zephyrian slaves are requesting full citizenship. They say they have never experienced freedom like this before." Yoon-ho nodded. It was the same story everywhere. Beings who had lived under Council oppression for generations were discovering what it meant to be truly free. Admiral Bo-Young Choi commanded the first human expeditionary fleet as it moved through what used to be Council space. Her ships were not conquering, they were liberating. "Admiral," her tactical officer reported. "Long-range sensors detect a Threen patrol fleet approaching the Rigel system." "How many ships?" 12 vessels, including 2 heavy cruisers. Bo-Young thought about the Threen colonies in that system. Millions of individual beings forced to live under hive mind control. Children taken from their parents and turned into mindless drones. "Signal the fleet," she ordered. "All ships to battle stations. Today we free Rigel." The battle lasted less than an hour. Human technology had improved even more since Seoul. The Threen ships never had a chance, but the real victory came after the fighting ended. As human medical teams landed on Rigel Prime, they began reversing the neural implants that forced individual Threen into the collective mind. Dr. Min-Ji Ko was the first to successfully free a Threen drone. The insectoid being's compound eyes flickered as individual consciousness returned. I can think my own thoughts," the being whispered in wonder. "For the first time in 50 years, I can think my own thoughts." Meanwhile, Captain Ju-Won Kim was making a discovery that would change everything. His archaeology team was exploring the ruins of the Council's central archive on Nexus Prime. What they found in the deepest vaults made him sick. "President Kim," he reported through secure quantum communication, "you need to see this immediately. The Council, they have done this before, many times." The data crystals contained records going back millions of years. Species after species had been targeted for the same treatment humans received. Any civilization that grew too powerful, too independent, too free was systematically destroyed. The Cathara had developed faster-than-light communication. The Council scattered them across the galaxy and made their technology illegal. The Nexari had created art so beautiful it inspired other species to question their rulers. The Council banned their culture and forced them into labor camps. The Vorthok had developed medicine that could extend any being's life by thousands of years. The Council destroyed their research and executed their scientists. President Kim, Captain Kim continued, his voice shaking with anger. There were dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Any species that might challenge council authority was broken, scattered, or completely wiped out. President Mi-young Kim stood before the United Earth Congress with the evidence spread before her. Data crystals containing millions of years of hidden history, proof of genocide on a galactic scale. The question before us, she said to the assembled representatives, is not whether we can forgive them. The question is whether we will allow this to continue. She activated a holographic display showing the galaxy as it was now. Red zones marked areas still under council control. Blue zones showed human-protected space. Yellow zones indicated species fighting for their freedom with human support. Somewhere out there, President Kim continued, another young species is taking their first steps into space. What will they find? A galaxy ruled by fear and ancient empires? Or something better? The vote was unanimous. Operation Liberation would continue until every being in the galaxy had the chance to choose their own future. But the most important changes were happening at the individual level. On Haven Station, Sujin Park watched a group of young beings from different species playing together in the recreation area. Human children laughed with Altarian younglings. Zephyrian juveniles shared toys with Nexari cubs. Dr. Park, she said to Hanul Park, the station's chief cultural officer, do you think they understand what they represent? Hanul smiled as she watched a human girl teach an alien child how to play hopscotch. They represent something the Council never imagined. A generation that sees differences as interesting instead of threatening. Security Chief Sang-ho Park joined them at the observation window. Intelligence reports indicate the old council founders are stirring in the deep galaxy, the really ancient ones who created the system millions of years ago. Are they planning to return? Sujin asked. Our sources think so. They are not happy about what we have done to their perfect order. Hanul looked at the children playing below. Let them come. The galaxy they will find is not the one they left behind. Indeed, everything had changed. The age of young species bowing to ancient powers was over. The age of freedom, cooperation, and mutual respect had begun, and it had all started the day humanity said no. 10 years after humanity walked out of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Tae-ho Kim stood once again in a great chamber filled with representatives from across the galaxy. But everything had changed. This time, the chamber was aboard New Geneva, humanity's mobile capital ship. Instead of sitting at the smallest table in the back, humans led the discussions. The old council was gone, replaced by the Galactic Federation of Free Worlds. President Jin A. Park, humanity's second leader since leaving the council, presided over a government unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Every species had an equal voice, regardless of how old their civilization was or how many ships they commanded. The Nexari Collective requests membership, announced Secretary General Woo Jin Lee, reading from the day's applications. The Nexari had once been the Council's most feared enforcers. Now their young people embraced human ideas of freedom and individual rights, approved unanimously, President Park declared. Welcome to the Federation. Admiral Hyo-jin Kim reviewed reports from the frontier fleets. Humanity's greatest military minds now spent their time protecting worlds instead of conquering them. Captain Sang-ho Park had just finished evacuating 3 species from a dying star system. Commander Un-young Ko was establishing the first integrated colony where 5 different species worked together as true equals. The real victory was not military, it was cultural. Director of Colonial Development, Da-som Kim oversaw educational exchanges that brought young beings from across the galaxy to human universities. They returned home carrying ideas that would have been unthinkable under council rule. Democracy, individual rights, the radical notion that a being's worth was not determined by their species' age or military power. Ma'am, her assistant reported, We have requests from 47 different worlds asking for Federation teachers. Approved, Dasam replied. Send our best. But the galaxy was vast, and not everyone embraced change. Fleet Admiral Junho Park maintained constant vigilance against the remnant coalition. These were the survivors of the old council's most fanatical supporters. They operated from hidden bases in the galaxy's dark zones, launching terrorist attacks and spreading propaganda about the natural order that humanity had destroyed. Admiral, his intelligence officer reported, remnant forces attacked a Federation medical ship near the Vega system. No survivors. Junho's jaw tightened. The medical ship had been carrying vaccines to a plague-stricken world. Innocent beings had died because some creatures could not accept that their time of ruling through. Fear was over. Prepare the Third Fleet, he ordered. Time to remind the remnants why hiding in the dark is a good idea. The latest threat came from an unexpected source. Intelligence Director Sung Min Lee had discovered evidence that the original council founders were stirring in the deepest reaches of space. These were beings so ancient they had withdrawn from galactic affairs millions of years ago when their empire seemed secure. They are not happy about what we have done, reported Chief Analyst Young-Suk Kim during the morning security briefing. Our long-range sensors detect massive energy signatures in the void between galaxies. They are building something. President Park listened to the report with calm interest. Any idea what they are building? Based on the energy patterns, it appears to be a fleet, but unlike anything we have seen before. The ships seem to be the size of small moons. How long before they arrive? Our best estimate is 6 months, ma'am. President Park smiled grimly. Then we have 6 months to prepare. Send word to every Federation world. If the Ancient Ones want war, they will get more than they bargained for. In the observation deck of New Geneva, Dr. Ha Newell Park watched. A group of mixed-species children playing together. Human, Altarian, Zephyrian, Nexari, and others, all laughing at the same jokes and sharing the same dreams. Captain Ji-Woo Lee, now promoted to head of fleet security, joined her at the window. He was the same man whose defiant broadcast had started it all 10 years ago. Dr. Park, Hanowell said, do you think we will win if the Ancients return? Ji-Woo looked at the children below. A human girl was teaching an Altarian boy how to play chess. A Zephyrian child was sharing her lunch with a Nexari cub. They saw no differences between species, only friends to play with. Doctor, Ji-Woo said quietly, look at them. We already have one. The preparations for the Ancients' return brought the Federation together like nothing before. Species that had fought each other for millions of years now worked side by side. The draconic hegemony's shipyards built hulls that Altarian engineers filled with Zephyrian computers and human weapons. Young Admiral So-Min Park commanded the Integrated Defense Fleet. Her flagship crew included beings from 12 different species, all working together with an efficiency that would have been impossible under the old council system. Admiral, her Nexari tactical officer reported, long-range sensors detect the ancient fleet. They are massive. How massive? Their smallest ships are larger than our biggest dreadnoughts. Their command vessel appears to be the size of a large asteroid. So-Min studied the tactical display. The ancient fleet was indeed enormous, but size was not everything. Humans had learned that lesson well. Signal all Federation forces, she ordered. Remember what we are fighting for. Not conquest or power, but the right of every being to choose their own future. The ancient fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system like a dark tide. Their ships were beautiful in a terrible way, covered in symbols and designs from the galaxy's earliest days. These beings had ruled when most current species were still learning to make fire. The lead ship broadcast a message in a language so old that only the most advanced computers could translate it. Primitive children, the voice said, ancient and cold as the void between stars. You have broken the order we spent eons perfecting. You will return to your proper places or be destroyed. President Park's response was broadcast to every ship in both fleets. We are no longer the frightened species that begged for scraps from your table, she said. We are the Federation of Free Worlds. We bow to no ancient power and accept no master. Save justice itself, the battle that followed would be remembered for millennia. The ancients fought with weapons that could unmake stars and ships that seemed immune to conventional attacks. But the Federation had something the ancients could never understand: unity. Not the forced obedience of slaves, but the willing cooperation of free beings fighting for what they believed in. When the fighting ended, the ancient fleet was scattered and broken. Their survivors fled back to the dark between galaxies, finally understanding that their time was truly over. Captain Ji-woo Lee stood on the bridge of New Geneva, watching the last ancient ship disappear into hyperspace. Around him, beings from dozens of species celebrated together. The galaxy had learned a fundamental truth. When people are given the freedom to choose, they choose to stand together. The day humanity abandoned the Galactic Council, everything changed. But the real change was not in who held power. It was in what power should be used for: to protect, to nurture, to give every being in the galaxy the chance to reach for the stars, and that change would last forever.